News of the day. So Sunday, news of the daytime. Uh, and there's a lot to report on, and yet we're still waiting on that big news item. Still waiting. A lot of people waiting on this. First up, though, let's talk about Sven Baertschi being back on waivers for the Canucks. This is troubling. He had 2 assists in 6 games since the recall. This means there's still no interest in him on the trade market. Otherwise, Benning would have done the trade first. Or you waive him and then trade him after he's cleared waivers, because then the other team doesn't have to waive him. That's a stretch. It's too bad for Baertschi, especially since with the Canucks and their play being inconsistent and rumors that they're looking for a top 6 forward, it's not great news. So I do feel bad for Sven. He did look pretty good after he got recalled, but they need something else, and I don't think he provides what they need. I still think the Canucks need something a little more. JT Miller's been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic for the most part. But it's not enough. So if there's if we can find a middle ground, it's this. JT Miller was acquired for a first-round draft pick either this year or next year. If the Canucks miss the playoffs, they keep their draft pick, and then it's next year's first-rounders, not lottery protected. JT Miller for a first-rounder, for what he's done, that's fine. But if it's not enough to get them into the playoffs, that can be problematic. So I can understand both sides in that argument, and it's an argument we're going to have for a while. Taylor Hall is still a devil. Right now, he's still a devil. And I was looking through Twitter mentions, because that's always fun. There are a lot of Coyotes fans today, not happy. Who were like, why don't we have him now? Why don't we have him now? Is he going to show up now? Because we should have Taylor Hall now. And there are some who are already saying, you know what? If he's going to be a Coyote, he'd already be a Coyote. That's it. I don't know. He's not going to happen. Patience, young ones. If it's going to happen, it'll happen. And there's no team that's been ruled out yet that I know of the ones mentioned, although the Coyotes are the front runners. And again, just the fact that you could ask for a Barrett Hayden, and if they go, forget Hayden, okay. And then there's a number of other prospects. There's a lot of good prospects in their system, and then of course a first rounder that would likely go the other way. Keep in mind, teams that Taylor Hall plays on do tend to win lotteries, so that's one thing to keep in mind here. If Arizona all of a sudden were to start losing when he got there, and then the New Jersey Devils won the lottery with a pick they got trading Taylor Hall, does that mean he's still the good luck charm at the lottery? Or anyways, on the good news front, Eric Staal is currently sitting at 999 points. Tonight he could hit 1,000. That is definitely video worthy for tomorrow should he hit that mark. And really, in all honesty, it's amazing he's got this far, considering it was, 3 years ago we were all leaving him for dead? Stahl's done. He's finished. Forget it. Nope. He is still a capable forward in this league and has reinvented himself in Minnesota on some levels. Kucherov got hurt blocking a shot last night, and all we know is he's hurt. John Cooper wouldn't give any more information other than, well, you saw what happened, right? Yeah, that's it. We're not talking about it. So we don't know whether or not Kucherov's going to miss time or not. And also injured blocking a shot off the ankle as well is Tyson Barrie. And the x-rays were negative, so they sent him for x-rays. So the pain was severe enough that they had to send him for x-rays. The x-rays came back negative. And so that's the good news, but we don't know if Barrie's going to be available for this week or not. When you see all these ankle injuries, it reminds you there are parts of the body that aren't protected. You see players take shots sometimes in underneath here too, and there are spots that the padding just doesn't protect. And there isn't really a way to protect absolutely every inch of a person's body front and back and still have the full mobility and range of motion. And so this is one of those things where they get caught, they turn their foot the wrong way, and suddenly instead of it hitting a guard or a pad, it's hitting bone. And so hopefully Barrie's okay. Hopefully Kucherov's okay. There's a lot of shot blocking that ends up leading to injuries. Now, all back to good news here. Anthony Duclair, and I got this from Roto World. So it appears that they did this research on their own, so I will give them full credit for this. Anthony Duclair has 14 goals since November 1st for the Ottawa Senators. That is fourth in the league, behind Pastrnak and Eichel, who are tied for first with 16. Aho is third at 15, and tied for fourth with Duclair are Panarin and McDavid. His agent needs to have all this information. All of the information, so that when contract negotiations come up, he can say, my client's worth about $10 million. Here's why. Look at these guys. And he's scoring as much as these guys. Look how much money they make. We think we're being reasonable at $10 million. Panarin makes more than that. McDavid makes more than that. We don't need to get into what his stats normally are throughout his career. If they decide to trade Duclair, they can get back a pretty decent return, I would think, on that when Ottawa decides they want to tear things down a little bit. The interesting one's going to be Pajot. I still don't think they should trade Pajot at all. But that being said, moving along, Casey Middlestad has had a good start to the season. I was really impressed with his start. I've been less impressed with his everything since then, kind of, sort of. He's been in the press box. I think it's 3 out of the last 4 games. And I do wonder if Buffalo... How long does Buffalo sit with him in the press box? And do they start looking at trade options for him? The interesting thing is Jason Botterill, wanting some forward depth. And there it is. And Middlestad was at least supposed to be forward depth, and he's not even providing that. So, I mean, I praised the kid early in the year for looking like he was ready and everything was good. I think he had like 4 points his first 5 games, something along those lines. And then it's fallen apart ever since then. So hopefully he gets it together. I do wonder if a change of scenery may be in the offing for him when we get around the trade deadline. Last night, back in the good news side of things, Marc-Edouard Vlasic played his 1,000th NHL game. He's had an up and down season for the San Jose Sharks. There are people who still absolutely love his game and feel he's one of the best defensive defensemen in the league. I will not make an argument that he's not. I see 1,000 games with him and the way he's played hockey, and that's a pretty big achievement for him. So congratulations to him. And 1,000 games are not easy. The one thing that drives me nuts, and it's every time I'm watching a game and I'll hear, this guy's playing his 300th game tonight. This guy's playing his 500th game tonight. And they interview the guy, and it's always the same first question. When you were a kid, did you think that you'd play 500 games in the NHL? Or a variation. When you came up as a rookie, did you ever think you would hit 600 games in the NHL? What are they supposed to say? Yeah, of course. I figured I was going to make about $50 million. Probably spend about 10 years here. I'm not supposed to... Coach told me not to talk about the drugs in the locker room, so I'm not going to talk about that. Or some of the lady stuff that goes on after. So, it's been great. It's been great, and I roll around in piles of money when I go to sleep at night. What are they supposed to say? So, of course, they always have the same answer. No, I never imagined I'd be here. And there's got to be a different way to ask a guy about a milestone. There has to be a different question you can start with than, did you ever think you'd play this many games? It's like when people ask me, did you ever think you'd make money on YouTube? No. That's the answer. No. All right, Oilers. Apparently, Cassian wants to sit down. They want to sit down with him as well. And they want to talk about an extension. Zach Cassian. It didn't work out for him in Buffalo. Didn't work out for him in Vancouver. There were some issues that caused him to be out of Vancouver. That caused him to be out of Montreal before he'd even landed in Montreal, really. And in Edmonton, it's just worked. Zach Cassian, it has absolutely worked. It's been fantastic. I would hope that even though his points totals this year look pretty good, I'd hope he's reasonable in his contract demands and that he's not seeking the kind of money that a 20-25 goal scorer would normally get, which is a lot, and that he would give the Oilers a little bit of a discount because he knows he's going to play his best hockey with the Oilers, and he has a chance to play with line mates with the Oilers he would not have a chance to play with anywhere else. So Cassian, who's been excellent this year, I would expect to see Ken Holland and Cassian hammer out an extension, I would think, over the next month or so. It's a no-brainer that you keep Zach Kassian. I also wanted to mention Josh Hosang still doesn't have a trade or a team. He hasn't played a game yet. We haven't been talking about him, have we? Nah. It's been over 2 months now. Sitting around for him waiting on a trade that I don't think is coming. I really, really don't. And if he's going to sit this long, and I know he's skating in Toronto, and I know he's staying in shape, but it's not the same as playing games. The longer this goes on, the less value I would think he has. I honestly think he may not get moved at all. I don't know what's going to happen with Josh Hosang. Does he have an out? If he went to Lou Lamoriello right now and said, look, can I go play in the Finnish League? Can he do that? Would he get picked up? Would he want to do that? It's a really bizarre situation to me. And I realized this morning, I thought, we haven't talked about Hosang. So I looked him up and I'm like, still skating around. Still hasn't played a game in Bridgeport. I thought at least 2.5 months into the season, he'd at least be seeing some action in Bridgeport just to keep him in game shape, but nope. So I remember 2 months ago when I reported on this, I thought it seemed kind of odd, and people were like, Shannon, no, the Islanders they're holding him out because they're going to trade him. It's 2.5 months later. He's still not traded. It's still weird. All right, last thing I want to talk about is something that happens today, which is Ilya Kovalchuk's $2.65 million signing bonus gets paid out today, meaning that the remainder that gets paid out for him is the prorated $700,000 salary. So if you trade for Kovalchuk right now, after that bonus has been paid, you have the cap hit of Kovalchuk, but you only have to pay the prorated amount of whatever's left over from the $700,000 on his salary this year. That's not too bad. And then you've got next year as well. That's where it might be a little bit problematic, but it does mean you're paying $2.65 million less today for Kovalchuk than you would have paid yesterday. And Ilya still thinks he has something to offer offensively in the NHL. And the Kings 5 weeks ago told him he didn't. So it'll be interesting to see if they end up moving him and who's interested. So watch for Kovalchuk rumors to start today and continue through as long as it takes. I would think probably around trade deadline. I'm not sure that there's any market for him, to be honest, because I don't look around the league and see anywhere that I think he lands. There are plenty of teams that would look for a veteran scorer, but I can't think of any that would want to take on that cap hit, low salary or not. And then the ones that would want to take that cap hit with the low salary, I'm not sure that they would want Kovalchuk at this stage of his career. Ottawa would be the obvious spot, right? Ottawa, who, have a ton of cap space right now. And they take him, but then what? So it's a matter of what would the Kings be willing to give up to get rid of Kovalchuk as well? Might they throw in a sweetener so they can get rid of the Kovalchuk contract? It's a shame for Ilya, but it is a reality. This is now a young man's league, and that's just how these things work. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about that or any of the other items up for discussion today. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.